like how he looks at you.
The Gingersnaps franchise explained, where Cronenberg-esque werewolf metamorphosis will stun you. The narrative follows teen sisters Ginger and Bridgette and their lives in a fictional Toronto suburb. Ginger is attacked by a werewolf and her transformation coincides with her first menstrual cycle. This was something audiences weren't used to. When the movie came out, it didn't get the desired commercial success, mainly because of its restricted release. However, it was clearly a standout among the horror films of the time. Scream had raised the standards of the slasher genre a few years ago, and the likes of American Psycho, Final Destination, and The Cell kept things interesting. During this time, Gingersnaps dared to be different, and the ploy worked in the long run. Even though the box office collection was a meager $500,000, the DVD boom ensured that the film developed a significant fan following. Critics loved the movie as well, with many calling it a very smart and innovative horror movie. The cult following of this film skewed females, and this was consistent even for the sequel and prequel that were released in 2004. While the female fandom stood out for this movie, others enjoyed it no less, and Gingersnaps became a groundbreaking franchise over the years. In this video, we will tell you all that you need to know about the series, and analyse the movies that promised you so much fun back in the day.
Before we go into our list, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click from you, but it means a lot to us. Thank you. Let's begin.
Gingersnap. It all starts off in a small suburban neighbourhood, where a mother discovers the mutilated body of her dog on her lawn. Following the gruesome visuals, we watch two sisters, Bridgette and Ginger, fascinated with death. As the sisters describe fellow classmate Trina's potential death, one of her friends overhears them and tells Trina. Trina pushes Bridgette into the remains of a dog that has been the victim of the Beast of Bailey Downs, a monster that has reportedly been killing canines all over town. After Trina's stunt, the siblings decide to teach her a lesson by kidnapping her dog and implying that the beast had killed it. When Bridgette and Ginger come across a mutilated corpse of a dog, they think about taking it to Trina to try and convince her that it is her pet dog. However, when they try to pick it up, a leg of the carcass snaps and Ginger is bloodied. But the blood is also because of her first menstrual cycle. This is when the Beast of Bailey Downs suddenly attacks Ginger and drags her into the woods. Bridgette manages to rescue her, and while they run away, a van driven by Sam hits the monster and kills it. Bridgette discovers that Ginger's wounds are healing pretty fast. She's reluctant to get herself checked into a hospital because then their mother would find out. Some changes can be seen in Ginger in the following days though. She starts growing hair from her wounds, bleeds profusely from her period, and seems to be desperately inclined towards Jason. They even have unprotected sex, and we can see spurts of violence in Ginger as she kills a neighbour's dog. Bridgette is worried about these changes in Ginger, and she consults Sam for some help. Sam infers that the beast must have been a lycanthrope, and believes that a ring made of pure silver might be able to cure Ginger. Bridgette tries to convince Ginger into getting her navel pierced with the ring, but her plans don't succeed. Bridgette warns Ginger against stepping out of the house, but she remains defiant. They visit Sam again, hoping for a cure, who suggests the use of monkshood this time. However, Ginger isn't too happy with the idea and accuses Sam of wanting to have sex with Bridgette.
Fuck are you? Pervert, she's 15. Ginger.
She storms off, but Bridgette takes her mother's monkshood and develops a remedy with Sam. As she tries to track down Ginger, she's attacked by Jason, who had been transformed after his interaction with Ginger. She uses the cure on him and watches it being effective.
I have a class.
Bridgette finds Sam being seduced by Ginger, and when he rejects her advances, she breaks his arm. With no way out, Bridgette infects herself, and Sam knocks Ginger out with a shovel. As they try to take her to the house to cure her, Ginger fully transforms into a werewolf. She mutilates Sam and kills him in front of Bridgette. In desperation, Bridgette holds the cure in one hand and a knife in the other, as Ginger Wolf stalks her. When it lunges at her, she stabs it with a knife instead of the cure. The movie ends as we see Bridgette sobbing for her sister as the Ginger Wolf slowly stops breathing. Our take on the movie. Gingersnaps is a unique horror movie that touches the audience emotionally. It's an outstanding werewolf flick, up there with the best. John Fawcett proves himself to be a competent director, and the cast does well to support his vision. The lead actresses, Catherine Isabel and Emily Perkins, are particularly brilliant in their roles as the Disturbed sisters. The producers couldn't find someone fit for the role, and the hunt took them as long as 6 months. Funnily enough, Emily and Catherine auditioned the same day and got the parts. Everything about the narrative is original and unpredictable, which adds to the viewing experience. It's multi-dimensional with some strong characters, and the film does well to portray the coming-of-age pains with the physical transformations brought on by the lycanthrope condition. The story is genuinely unsettling, and there are some disturbing make-your-skin-crawl kind of things. In a lot of ways, Gingersnaps is a grim metaphor for adolescence, and the morbid sisters are the agents to portray the heaviness of this phase. We loved how the makers synced the bodily alterations in Ginger with the initial changes after she was infected. She goes through mood swings, bleeding, hairy legs, and Karen Walton's intelligent script does the trick.
On speed to look like that.
Get out!
The special effects team is headed by Paul Jones, and they bring their experience of working in films like Wolf Girl and Dracula 2000. The physical effects are impressive, and the design of the wolf leaves nothing to complain about. The director was keen to use prosthetics and makeup instead of CGI, and we aren't complaining. This quirky alternative teen monster movie avoids the cliches of its peers and still managed to be one of the darkest werewolf movies ever made. Gingersnaps 2 Unleashed. This is a sequel to the original Gingersnaps movie, and the story picks off where it left off in the first one. Bridgette, who was infected, tries her best to ward off the effects. She uses the aforestated monkshood extract and does everything from shaving off excess hair to cutting her arm with a scalpel to stop the infection. However, Ginger often appears like an apparition and reminds her that the monkshood can only slow the process and not cure it.
Cure, it just slows the transformation. It doesn't stop it, B.
When Bridgette injects herself with a second dose of monkshood, she realises that a male werewolf has been stalking her. She packs and tries to leave quickly, but is interrupted by the flirtatious library attendant, who has brought her the book she checked out earlier. The effects of the second monkshood injection are toxic on Bridgette, and the library attendant Jeremy tries to take her to a hospital. However, the male werewolf attacks him and mauls him to death. Bridgette collapses in the snow after trying to get away. She wakes up to find herself in a rehab clinic. All her pleadings to be released fall on deaf ears, as Alice, the director of the clinic, refuses to release her. Bridgette constantly monitors her healing rate, and to her shock, she finds out that both her transformation and her healing rate have become faster. Ginger keeps appearing and ridicules Bridgette for her growing craving for violence and sex, just like Ginger once had. Her fantasies increase by the day, and she's almost driven to the verge of killing herself. One of the staff at the rehab, Tyler, makes some inappropriate advances towards Bridgette, where he offers a supply of monkshood if Bridgette obliges to his demands. A girl named Ghost, who is visiting her burn victim grandmother, overhears the staff talking about Bridgette's monkshood addiction and realises her deep dark secret. She even notices that Bridgette's ears have grown pointy, and Ghost is convinced about her lycanthropic nature. She tries to help Bridgette with a supply of monkshood, but Tyler doesn't let that happen. As the rate of the transformation increases, Bridgette is desperate to get an injection of monkshood and allows Tyler to inject her. The male werewolf that was stalking Bridgette attacks them, and they make an escape through the air vents to reach the basement. They encounter an addict in the basement, and the male werewolf attacks and kills her. Bridgette tries to fight the werewolf, but she's injured in the tussle. Shockingly enough, her wounds heal quickly, pointing to the fast transformation. Ghost takes her to her grandmother's house, and Bridgette does something unthinkable when she consumes a deer that was injured in a hunt. When they see that the infection is now spreading too fast, they arrange for a meeting with Tyler at a gas station to procure more monkshood. When they arrive, they find the gas station employee dead, and they quickly retreat with Tyler. The monkshood injection, however, doesn't quite work as planned, and Bridgette's body rejects it violently. Tyler panics and calls Alice, but Ghost doesn't like Tyler hogging the limelight. She falsely makes Bridgette believe that Tyler abused her and gets her to lock him up outside. The werewolf on the loose kills Tyler. The arrival of Alice brings about a dramatic turn of events. It's revealed that Ghost has been lying all along and she had burned her grandmother herself. In this confusion, the werewolf breaks through a window and Bridgette manages to lure him into a room. As they fight, they both fall into the basement, and the werewolf is impaled by a booby-trapped mattress. Ghost hammers Alice to death, and Bridgette's transformation is now almost complete. She asks Ghost to kill her before it's too late, but Ghost seems to have other plans. She locks Bridgette in the basement, and we see her illustrating a comic book, where she has a powerful werewolf as her pet. With Bridgette getting stronger by the day, Ghost can now unleash her on her enemies. The movie ends as we see the doorbell ring, and Ghost getting ready to welcome someone home. Our views on the movie. How often does a sequel impress as much as the original? As rare as that might be, Gingersnaps 2 is certainly a deserving sequel. The absorbing plot shows Bridgette suffering from the same infection that had destroyed her sister Ginger. However, she handles it a lot better and tries to fight against the transformation. There is an interesting twist in the werewolf mythology, and we love the fast-paced narrative that always kept our eyes glued to the screen. We must spare a word for the special effects this time, because it is a significant improvement from its predecessor. The werewolf designs were much more intricate, and the attacks were more vicious and bloodier. If you're someone who finds gore and self-mutilation too much to handle, this might not be your cup of tea. The director Brett Sullivan keeps the tension in the narrative, and the acting performances are terrific once again. Emily Perkins delivers another convincing performance. The salacious storylines are made better with the aggressive dark humour, which makes it worth your time. The makers selected the setting very carefully, and from rehabs to asylums, the scenes are premised in perfect horror film-like locations. In fact, the dilapidated area of the hospital was a real-life location where a mental hospital was abandoned. They used it exactly as they found it to increase the scary quotient. There are some spine-chilling moments, and Ghost interacting with her grandmother gave us the jitters, as did the sudden appearance of the werewolf. The twist in the end regarding Ghost had us stumped. We would have loved it more if they revealed the identity of the male werewolf though. If you have watched the original and loved it, there is no reason you wouldn't like this dark and disturbing sequel. Gingersnaps back, the beginning. We are first introduced to a brief history of the Northern Legion Trading Company. We learn that every spring, a part of them leaves the fort and travels to Hudson Bay to trade pelt for their winter provisions. However, in 1815, nobody returned from this trading trip. We are now almost 100 years ahead, and we see the two sisters, Ginger and Bridgette, lost in the Canadian wilderness with their horse. They stumble upon an abandoned camp in the middle of nowhere, and it seems like the camp has come under attack. An elderly Indian woman gives each of them a necklace with a bird skull and warns them that unless they kill the boy, one of the sisters will kill the other. Their horse is suddenly scared of something and runs away. As they try to chase it down, Bridgette gets her foot stuck in a trap set by an Indian hunter. The sisters initially think the hunter to be a threat, but he releases Bridgette and guides them to Fort Bailey. They take shelter in the fort, and Ginger reveals that they are daughters of a trader and want to sail east.
We were accompanying our father, Montgomery Fitzgerald, on his commission to find a pass through the mountains west.
However, everyone in the fort is somewhat suspicious about them because the fort has been under siege by werewolves. Dr. Murphy inspects them and clears them as safe. Still doesn't eliminate the fears in others, and Reverend Gilbert is particularly averse to the idea of having them there. The girls are given a strange room that has toy walls and soldiers in a fighting stance.
These toys must be Jeffrey's.
Very night, a strange voice awakens Ginger, and she goes out to investigate. She finds the source to be a bolted room, and a deformed boy bites her and runs away. When they try to leave the garrison, James stops them, and during their fight, the werewolves attack. However, the Indian hunter comes just in time to save them from its attack. However, Ginger starts bleeding from the nose, which is a sign that she has been infected. The sisters find out that the mysterious deformed boy was actually fellow member Wallace's son, and the others think him to be dead. Wallace strikes a deal with the sisters regarding keeping them safe in return for their silence on his son. On the other hand, Ginger is determined to find and kill the boy just like the Indian woman had told her. When he is finally found, Wallace kills his own son. However, the sisters are now forced to leave and are in dire need of a cure. They head to the hunter's cave and learn that their arrival had been prophesied. Bridgette is put in a trance and has some strange visions featuring her sister, where the hunter is trying to kill her. But the hunter takes her to the fortress and assures her about the safety of Ginger. At the fort, Bridgette is held captive, and Reverend Gilbert plans to burn her alive. Wallace foils his plans, and Ginger returns with all the werewolves that kill everyone in the fort. The hunter pleads with Bridgette to kill her sister, but she kills him instead. Now all that is left is Bridgette and Ginger. They are back in the woods where it all began, huddling together in the cold. Bridgette injects herself, and both sisters are doomed to be werewolves. Our analysis of the prequel. First of all, even though it is being called a prequel, it is by all means their previous incarnation. Both the sequel and the prequel have completely different storylines, and the only possible similarity is the theme and characterization. This installment of the imaginative and intelligent series lacks the witty script that made the previous two so entertaining. It's not a terrible movie under any circumstances, but the dark comedy is missing and can be disappointing for those who have appreciated the same in the previous films. Coming to the effects, the beasts in the final scenes look pretty decent. The sets are well prepared to suit the timeline, and we love the gloomy atmosphere that prevailed throughout. The cast for the two sisters has been retained, and Catherine Isabel and Emily Perkins do not disappoint. This film, however, comes with its share of flaws. It is sometimes a case of too many characters spoiling the story. We believe that there could have been more explanation for the way some of these individuals met their ends. The music that was so good in the previous two movies is a forgettable experience this time. The dialogue can be a tad irritating, and Ginger's one-liners and cussing seems out of place, especially the part where the characters casually switch from their 18th century vocabulary to sudden modern one-liners. Personally, we love Gingersnaps back, but this is still our least favourite among the three. Maybe we had our expectations a bit too high. Future of the franchise. Well, we wouldn't want to let you go without some good news, would we? Clearly the Gingersnaps franchise worked its magic with horror fans over the years. It would be a shame if the brilliant concept and plots were not reused or reconstructed. From what we have heard, the production company that is behind Killing Eve, Sid Gentle Films, is now working with the producers of the original Gingersnaps films for a TV adaptation. John Fawcett, who directed the original movie, is back as an executive producer, and the series will be written by Anna Maria Simuyaba. She has spoken about her love for the franchise and revealed that the incisive portrayal of the ecstasy, agony, and unbridled rage of a teenage girl fascinated her.
Bridget, don't.
Having worked on the series Gorilla and Upload, we expect her to keep up the quality content. All we can say is that the people involved clearly have the potential to transform Gingersnaps into a remarkable new serial.
This is all the time we had for today's episode. We hope you guys liked it. It would be awesome if you guys can take some time to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to tell us which topic you want us to cover in the comment section. Have a fantastic day ahead and stay safe.
You think I want to go back to being nobody?